Hello, everyone. We are now live. We're just kind of in the pre-meeting, the pre-game before the official MASTRA.BUILD Hackathon kickoff. So thanks for anyone that has started to tune in. We're going to be bringing in some of the sponsors to chat, uh, just, to be pretty unstructured, but it'll be fun. We'll get to know a little bit about what some of the sponsors are looking for when they're judging. And at the top of the hour, we'll actually have the official MASTRA.BUILD kickoff. And so we'll be live streaming that as well. So with that, why don't we go ahead? We got Jesse here. He's ready to chat a little bit. Let's bring him in and yeah, let's have a quick chat.
Hey Shane, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Jesse?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We're really excited to, obviously we work pretty closely with Mongo, but really excited when you all offered to be part of the hackathon. So and maybe can you give a quick intro of yourself? And then I do want to ask you a little bit more about what you're specifically looking for or things that might be interesting to see to you during, an agent hackathon like this.
Yeah, I know. We're just really excited to see what people build because some of the best things they come from these hackathons. And just seeing all the different technologies and what everyone comes up with. That's the amazing part to me. But yeah, real quick, I'm Jesse Hall. I'm a staff developer advocate at MongoDB, and just has been great working along with Mastra and creating the MongoDB integrations as well. So if you are looking for a vector store, MongoDB is one of the options that you can use. So go ahead and check out the docs and see how that could be helpful. Other than that, yeah, there's just, like I said, so many great ideas out there, and it's amazing how AI is really helping these things come to light. Not just AI, bringing AI to your customers or your clients, whatever the case might be, but having AI help you build these things. It's just like we're able to build so much faster now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think the nice thing about hackathons, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but you get to see, I think it's like a glimpse into the future because it's usually like the early demos of what is eventually going to be a really cool product or a really cool idea. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have this hackathon, is to give people a chance to, I guess, showcase some of the ideas that they have and, hopefully get them some recognition, and maybe some of these things turn into real products that people use someday. Yeah. We do have a few other people that we can bring in here. And I know, Jesse, you only have about another 10 minutes to hang out with us, but let's bring in and introduce some of the other judges that we're going to have, some of the other sponsors for the hackathon. So Henry, I'm going to bring you in next.
Hello.
How's it going, Henry? You want to give a quick little introduction?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Henry. I'm the founder of Smithery. Smithery is a new startup. I started it in December last year. One of the sort of pain points I've seen in the AI agents space, since I've been building in that space for quite some time, is that people are copying and pasting stuff from ChatGPT all the time. And so when Model Context Protocol, when MCPs came out in around November, I felt like, okay, this was the right moment to build something in this space that would finally allow AI to connect with the rest of your services and apps. So I'm building something that will help the increasingly smart intelligence, which is now sitting in a box, have a body to connect with the rest of the services that you're using.
Awesome. And I'm going to invite one more guest on to give a quick introduction. Steve, you're up next. Come on in.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, Mastra Hackathon attendees. I'm Steve Manuel. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Delibso. And we also are building tools for agents on a platform called MCP.run. We've been working on kind of secure isolation technology for a couple of years, all for kind of the purpose of software extensibility, plugins and such. And we saw MCP and immediately thought, this is like the final plugin system that really needs to exist. And agents and AI apps all need tools. And so MCP.run is kind of a free collection of tools that you can give your agents access to everything from Excel spreadsheets to search to databases, shout out MongoDB. and yeah, like bring life to an agent that otherwise is only kind of sipping from the model hose. So yeah, we give developers access to tools for free, have some built-in tools. We just announced you can get free web search and email sending, so you don't need any API keys to configure those things. Just lock and load some tools and set your agent free.
Awesome. And yeah, it looks like Abby's joining in too. What's up, Abby?
What up?
Yeah, so I do want to, so first of all, thanks to, Smithery, Mongo, MCP Run for sponsoring. You're obviously helping us out a ton. You're giving us some of your expertise. You're going to be, interacting with a lot of the people working throughout the week on the hackathon. For those of you that are just tuning in, we're kind of in the pregame of the hackathon. So the official kickoff is at the top of the hour. We're just meeting with some of the sponsors early. We're chatting a little bit about what we maybe are looking for some of the submissions, what we hope to see, and with the goal of, having a lot of really cool agents and really cool use cases be built throughout the week. So if you haven't signed up already, go to MASTRA.BUILD. You can still sign up all week long. We're going to have a lot of prizes, which we're going to announce what some of those are here in about 20-ish minutes or so. And yeah, I guess coming from, I don't know who wants to take it, but has anyone done any of these, any agent hackathons yet? Or is this the first agent specific one? Abby, I know you, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just rose my hand. But yeah.
Yeah.
I did one in person like 2 weeks ago it was like Vibe 25. It was a conference, not a conference. It was like a hackathon similar to this, but it was all in person. So it was pretty interesting. It was really hot in that room. Really hot.
Well, at least this one's a little more temperature controlled. You can only blame yourself, I guess, if you don't like the temperature, being it's completely virtual. What about any of you, Jesse, Henry, Steve, been part of any hackathons, either as a participant or a judge?
Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I judged another MCP hackathon at AGI House a couple weeks ago, and then I think 2 weeks ago I participated in an Anthropic one. So yeah, a lot of hackathons happening. Most of them are in person though.
Yeah, we had considered doing an in-person one, but since so much of the Mastra community is all over, we found, at least for this first one, we wanted to open it up for everyone. And so that was definitely a tough decision though, as we went through. It was like, should we just do an in-person one? Should we try to make it virtual? Virtual is tough, right? Because you kind of have a longer time frame, but it does give people more opportunity to participate, even if they have a job. They don't have to necessarily take days off. They can spend a few hours in the evening and maybe participate. What about you, Jesse? I know you were going to say something.
Yeah, it's mostly been virtual for me since I live in Texas. So a lot of these hackathons are San Francisco and in the Bay Area, etc. So it's great to open these up to the world really, and see all these great ideas. That's, as a judge, like seeing these ideas come to fruition is like the amazing part, because so many great ideas out there.
Yeah, I have the fortune of being in the San Francisco Bay Area and get to go in person to a lot of these things. But remote are great because like you're not under the time pressure. You can really kind of test and experiment things, and you can fit in the work kind of in the off hours, here and there. The last one I attended was a couple of weeks ago that Cloudflare and OpenAI hosted, which was actually like a dumb things AI. Is like, how do you build like the silliest thing you can with AI? And I submitted an entry for it, which was like, remove all of the actual code from a web server and just pretend like every web request is handled by inference. And the prompt is only the URL that you access in the web server. And the kicker was that I added MCP servers to the inference call, such that if the URL happened to have something like /latest news, then it knew to go and do some web research. Or if it was just plainly like chocolate /create order, it would generate a just-in-time chocolate storefront. And so the code generation was entirely done based on the URL that was the whole prompt. So I love things like that. Yeah, it was a silly use of AI, and it's not released because that would have been a very painful bill to pay. If you can imagine Google suddenly crawling my website that was entirely just-in-time generated, powered by an LLM. Yeah, we have funding. We don't have that kind of funding. So I love to see stuff like that. I would love to see maybe somebody kind of taking that and running with it a little bit further, or yeah, just biased, but want to see things where agents really make heavy use of tools.
Yeah. Yeah, so we do have a couple categories. We have more like a B2B SaaS category where it's just people who want to build maybe productivity tools. We have a category that's more a creative category. Then we have just like kind of catch-all other categories. So we do have a couple categories, which we'll announce a little bit more, and we have prizes for each category. And then, we have a great set of judges. All of you are judges. We have Tony from our team. He is going to be a judge. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more. I'm sure he'll announce himself. He's not able to make this meeting. And then we also have one other judge from a fellow YC batchmate of Mastra's that is also going to be judging. So he's from Fuse AI. So we have a lot of really good quality judges. And I guess, see, Steve, you mentioned a few examples of things that you've seen or that you'd like to see as kind of the wild and crazy, wacky ideas. Does anyone else have any other interesting ideas they maybe would like to see more of or like to see people run with? I know I have a few, but these are more self-serving because I would like things to exist to help out my daily life. And I maybe could build them, but I don't have the time to build everything I want, as you all probably don't as well. Henry, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I think it will be interesting to see some more creative applications of MCPs, where or like MCPs are not just like integrations, because we see a lot of those today. For example, like something where your MCP is actually a sub-agent, right? I think that would be pretty interesting to see if somebody can launch something useful that does something like that, or an MCP that kind of calls our MCPs. So I think those would be some interesting projects if they come out of this hackathon.
Yeah, I know Abhi and I have been talking at least a little bit about, we want an agent that can discover their own tools and then add their own tools and then basically like continue to learn and, and maybe ask for authentication as it's, picking up a tool. So you could ask it to, check my email, and it realizes I don't have a tool for that, but I can go look up the tool, find Gmail, maybe ask for some authentication. Of course, this is a little maybe far-fetched to accomplish it, in a week, but probably you could get a really good prototype of something like that, I think.
Yeah.
If you spent a little time on it.
Smithery has a toolbox if anyone's interested.
Yeah,
to attempt it.
It's funny. Yeah, we were on a live stream, and then someone mentioned that. So yeah, that was Smithery has a toolbox. So
yeah, I think both. I mean, most of the MCP platforms have APIs, and I think both Henry's and MCP.run have APIs to do registration and installation and searching of the whole registries. So that could totally be done today.
I'm anxious to see it.
Yeah, same.
I want an agent that can build itself to help me with managing my email. That's all I want in life, is someone to help me manage my inbox.
How about you?
I know, Jesse, you got to go. Any last words before you have to jump off today?
Yeah, no, just like I said, excited to see what people build. We will be sticking around. My other teammates will be in the Discord channel, etc. If anybody has any questions, just feel free. We're here to help you throughout the entire hackathon.
Awesome. Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to head out. Thank you so much for having me.
And then there were 4.
I can jump in with one more thing, Shane, and Abby, if you guys don't mind. We have kind of like I'll call it like a beginner's agent platform, right? It's like, we call it tasks, and they're basically like, just give AI the entirety of the ownership over the code flow, and instead of having code like you would in a Mastra agent, you just kind of write a prompt and attach some tools. So MCP.run has a tasks feature, which is like an MCP client in the cloud, and you can use these in concert with your agent. So it's just an HTTP call away, and your agent can use a task as like a sub agent and talk to it, which is its own prompt, has its own context window. And we're finding people use these things for, which is a really cool use case, is to get around context window limitations. So you could spawn like hundreds of these subroutines from your core agent and then all fan that work out and then receive it back into the core agent. So if you have some very predictable, work that is really just a prompt and tools, put that up in a task and then have your agent running in Mastra handle the hard work and fan out the easy stuff to a task.
I actually was just talking to a Mastra user today, and something like that could be useful, maybe potentially for them, because one of the things they were running into is they wanted to do basically some image generation or screenshotting in a tool and then pass that back as context to the kind of the source agent, right? The supervisor agent. But that can quickly eat up, if you're sending images, that can quickly eat up your context window. And so having it be kind of a sub agent or a subtask where it can process the image, look at the image, maybe do some interesting things with it, but then just pass that learnings back to the agent. Something like that could be pretty interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Why do you think there is such an increase in hackathons in this cycle of things? Because I remember other previous tech cycles, maybe it was COVID or anything, but we couldn't do them. But like, I feel like there's a huge hackathon increase, which is cool. I remember when like JavaScript frameworks came out back in the day, there were hella hackathons to build single page apps, or we had like a bunch to do. We had SSG weekends where you'd use any static site generator, build a blog in the weekend, submit it for hackathons, or like we would, what was it, like showcase awards and stuff. It's cool that this is like another iteration of that, but hackathon is such a different commitment that people are willing to put in. So I'm just wondering, what do you guys think?
I have some thoughts. I'll share my thoughts and then toss it over to you guys. I think anytime there's like something that catches people's excitement, then people want excuses to, events or excuses to be able to play around with it. And so I think a lot of people are interested in, they've seen all these demos of what you can accomplish, and it kind of captures your imagination. And I think if you can capture someone's imagination, then hackathons are like a next step, because it gives them a reason to build. The one thing I do think is really cool, that's better than even like in past cycles where I've seen a lot of hackathons come up, is that I feel like you can build so much faster, at least to like prototype, right? You can get to prototype so much quicker that in a hackathon, you can do some really pretty interesting things in a short amount of time, where before maybe you spent, hours just like setting up a repo and getting like some base, a base application set up, where now you can kind of get through a lot of that stuff pretty quick. And so I think that has probably encouraged even more hackathons, because you can actually show some pretty interesting things in a pretty short period of time.
What do you think, Henry?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think like it's a common. I think like before, like perhaps GPT-4, like the models were not as good, and also like, well, it was like pandemic is one thing, right? Like not having a sort of this like ability to do stuff in person, and then the second thing was like the models were pretty early. They were not in a state where you can whip up something in one day. You probably had to train or fine tune some models, and that was just like not feasible to do within the hackathon period. But now it's like these models are getting good enough where you can really create a lot of cool stuff in a short period of time, like what Shane said, and plus you can vibe code that as well. So you have like you like 10x your kind of possibility of what you can do. So I think it's a pretty cool time to be hacking on stuff.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you guys said. Like, I think when we were all in an office, you had the ability to kind of just like look over your shoulder and be like, are you using this stuff too? Like, what are you getting from this? Maybe it's a new library, or somebody shared something interesting in your team chat. And now everybody's like pretty isolated, even though it's not a requirement anymore. People are still kind of like, I'm getting like crazy gains from this technology, and like want to see if other people are also benefiting from it and see how they're using it, because we're still so early in the rollout of these tools, even though I think everybody on this call, and certainly people who are here attending this hackathon, have kind of seen, an early vision of what the future will look like. And it's just an exciting time to see if other people are also like exploring this stuff and building with it, and what is everybody else being able to do, taking advantage of this technology. So I feel like, the hackathon is really the outlet for curious minds and tinkerers to get to explore with each other and figure out what's next and how what's it going to look like in 2 weeks, in 2 months, in 2 years. So
Solid answer.
So I guess, Abby, what are you going to build this week? What are you going to be tinkering around with?
So I really like the sub agent idea. I've been tinkering in my head about that. So I would love to do some type of sub agent that can do. I also want to use everyone's tool, all the sponsors' tools. That's another one of my goals. So I'm gonna do something with all that shit put together. Swear jar, I know.
Yeah, swear jar. Yeah, ongoing joke anytime we do a live stream is we have a swear jar and Abby fills it and then buys me drinks out of that, the money that goes into that swear jar. But yeah, I've been tinkering around with, and I've kind of started pieces of it. And so I guess I'll be, I really want to see where I could take it in a week of more dedicated time. But I've been building out this kind of storybook generator thing. And I think it's just a fun thing, mostly because I have kids and I want to build something that I can show them. And so my 3.5-year-old, she likes to come up with stories. And so I want to build something where we can build a story together and, kind of consume it with generative images and text and all that stuff. So I have a working prototype, but I want to actually make it a little bit more of like a real thing. And of course we'll open source the demo once it's out, but I want to hack on that a little bit this week and get it out.
Awesome. Mine's maybe less, endearing, but I have customer demos to build and was planning on trying to use some more MASTRA framework sauce to explore the boundaries of agent development that use tools like our Microsoft 365, Teams, and Excel, and very corporate kinds of stuff. But those tools need to exist as well. And then if I've got time, I like to actually port my LLM-backed web server and use MASTRA as like the agent framework that at least handles the incoming requests and then does something maybe new with those. Cool.
And for those of you that are just joining us, I know a lot of you have just tuned in. The MASTRA.BUILD Hackathon is starting. Well, it technically started today, but we're going to have the kickoff meeting in about 7 or so minutes. Right now, we're kind of having what we call this the pregame. We're just having a chat with some of the sponsors. MongoDB, Jesse was here. He had to jump a little early. We have Henry from Smithery, Steve from MCP Run, and then my co-founder, Abby. And we're just chatting about what we're looking to see this week in the hackathon. If you haven't joined yet, go to MASTRA.BUILD. You can still sign up. It's going on all week. You can kind of work on it in your evenings or around your job. Ultimately, anyone that does submit something is going to get some prizes. And then we have a whole bunch of prizes we're going to be announcing here in about 7 minutes once we jump over to the official launch. This is kind of the for fun pre-meeting.
183 people in here right now. So thanks.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to tell us where you're from, post it in the chat and we can shout out your hometown or something. Because I'm currently at my parents' place. My hometown is Rancho Cucamonga. Okay, it's in Southern California. So feel free to tell us where you're from.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube or Twitter, you can just post a chat and we see it, and we can definitely bring that up. And we are gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
Interject. Did you watch the show Workaholics back in the day?
The Mercury Building is down the street.
Nice.
Literally, I could drive there. That show's so funny.
Yeah, it was the best.
Yeah, Steve, you said you're in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, it's San Francisco.
Yeah. What about you, Henry? Where you located? SF
as well.
And last week, if you were tuning into our streams, I was in SF. I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota right now, which is I'm kind of split time between the two places. So I bounce back and forth. We have someone from Finland. We have someone from India. We have,
Nice. Oh yeah. Yo, Yash, what's up? That's a YC homie.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of people don't realize that LinkedIn has live streaming either. So
Yeah, this is dope. 192. We're on the rise now.
Yeah, and so what we're gonna do is, for all you sponsors, I don't know if you're gonna be able to jump over to the Zoom. So we're gonna try something here. We're still new to this live streaming game, so if this goes well, you'll think we're really smart. If it doesn't, you'll say, oh, they're figuring things out. So we are gonna try to basically just live stream in the Zoom, and then Abby, if you're here, you can stick around and you can kind of comment over the actual kickoff. You can be like the commentator on top of our actual Zoom meeting kickoff that will be. That I will jump out of this, and for anyone tuning in, you'll get to kind of see me bounce into a different place. And then Sam, our other co-founder, is going to be joining as well. Sponsors, feel free to stick around here or jump into the Zoom, whichever you would prefer to hang out, or if you have to take off, we understand as well. But let's see if we can get some things pulled in here.
In the meantime, Nihar from Buffalo, he's going to graduate from, I'm assuming, university. Congratulations, dude.
Nice.
Naga from Seattle. Hassan from South Africa. Whoa. Dang. Bruce from Midwest, Cleveland, Ohio.
Global. Look at this.
Global.
Yeah, which is why we wanted to do it remote. We have people all over the place using Mastra. We're very Mastra is also very very popular in Japan. So Abi, do you want to talk a little bit about where you're going in a couple days?
Yes. So we blew up in Japan, which is dope. And there are a couple of companies in Japan that wanted some Mastra presence in Japan for a talk or a meetup. So I'm headed there on Wednesday morning, 10:35 a.m. I head on to the land over there. So it's gonna be a long ass flight, but it should be fun. The company that's hosting us is All Star SaaS Fund, and thank you, Taro. He's from YC. He's one of our investors. Thank you for setting everything up.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to just see all the pictures and the support around doing an event in Japan. I unfortunately drew the short straw. I do not get to go to Japan, but maybe next time.
That's Series A stuff. The whole team gets to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, eventually we'll, I'll get my ticket. But until then, we'll send Abi over, and he'll hold down the fort in Japan for us. And yeah, and so it looks like we are starting, on the Zoom is pulling in. So Abi, you should be able to eventually kind of spotlight that Zoom, I hope. And you can kind of control the stream. There you go.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll be bouncing over in a couple minutes, and we'll have all the people that are attending that signed up are going to be on that Zoom, so they can interact a little more directly. But if you are watching live, feel free to leave us a comment. Abi will be here, kind of, commentating on my commentary. So this will be. It's not Inception, but it's close. And so
Master loves the Inception move. It's like the meta registry, the meta Zooms, live stream. Like, what's next?
If you have if you have a tool in the toolkit, you got to go back to it. If it works. and so with that, I'm gonna leave you all, and I will be seeing you all throughout the week, of course. And Abi, have fun in the live stream.
Later, dude.
I'll join the Zoom.
All right, I have to head out, but I will be giving anybody help on Discord if you run into any MCP issues. So just ping my name.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, see you, Henry.
See you, dude.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here.
All right, this is the test for those watching live. If we lose the live stream, it didn't work. So
what happens now? You're going to be in Zoom.
I'm going to be in Zoom. Yeah, you should be able to hear me, hopefully, and just make sure that the stream is pumping through, which it seems to be. And yeah, see you on the other side, dude.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MASTRA.BUILD Hackathon. Bear with us a few minutes. We're just getting set up here. Meanwhile, in the chat, if you guys want to post where you're from, we would love to see it.
and then there was us on live stream. Hey, if you're still here in this chat, what's up?
Hey, Steve. Hey, Shane.
Hey, Trita.
We got a lot of people from so many different places: India, Canada, Stockholm, Seattle, San Francisco, Turkey, Poland. Oh my gosh, this is a very international crew.
All right. Hey, Shrita.
Hey, Shane, I can hear you. It's all good.
Oh, for some reason I can't hear you. It's probably on my end.
Did anybody just send their AI agent to meet on their behalf yet?
Yes, I'm not real actually. I'm just a recording.
All right, everyone. We'll get started here in just a second once I figure out my audio issue. And Shrita, you want me to grab the slides?
Yes, please, if that's easy for you. Otherwise, I can do it.
Yes, Daniel. Yeah. Audio and video is still a mystery. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. All right. Yeah, exactly, Justin. Sometimes it works. Shrita, did you want me to grab the slides?
Yeah, if
All
that,
right.
but I can do it if you need.
No, I can grab if you want to stop sharing, and we will get started. Thanks everyone for joining, and for those of you watching on the live stream as well. So we are excited to kick off the first official MASTRA.BUILD Hackathon. It's all week, and if you are watching the live stream and you haven't signed up, there's still time. Go to MASTRA.BUILD and you can get registered. For those of you here, make sure Discord is going to be the place where we spend a lot of time. So if you have questions, if you want to get some help along the way, I'll be there. Pretty much everyone on the MASTRA team is going to be hanging out in Discord and trying to help people out to build really cool, interesting things throughout the week. And ultimately, we want to thank our sponsors. So MongoDB, MCP.run, and Smithery. This couldn't have happened. At least it wouldn't have been nearly as cool if you wouldn't have all been able to join in and help us make this thing great. So appreciate you all, and we'll be talking a little bit more about them throughout the week. And they have some cool things that they're going to be doing, and they'll be helping as well in Discord. So let's first talk about some of the prizes. So we have $3,000 plus in cash prizes, mostly gift cards around if you submit entries. We're going to talk about what the judging criteria is for how those prizes are distributed. We have $1,000 in Smithery credits. We have a Raspberry Pi. We have mini copies of Principles of AI, Building AI Agents, which you can't really see, but it's on my back shelf there. And Sam, our co-founder of Mastra, wrote the book on building AI agents, and we'll be sending a lot of copies of that out. We'll be sending out, someone will get AI engineering, building applications with foundation models. That's a great book. We'll be sending out a mechanical keyboard, mechanical meeting mute buttons, which I didn't know I needed, but now I think I might. And we'll be sending out MongoDB Atlas accounts and a whole bunch of Mastra merch and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. And with that, let's keep going. So let's talk a little bit about who we are, what's Mastra, talk a little bit about the schedule, some of the judging criterias, some maybe example project ideas. And if you have some projects that you don't have time for, if you have multiple ideas, feel free to share them either in the chat or in Discord, because there's probably other people that are looking for ideas, and maybe something you say will spark their interest. And then we'll also spend a little time here at the end of this. If you want to stick around, I'll show you real quick getting started with Mastra. So if you don't know where to start, I will walk you through the simplest of examples so you can have somewhere to get started. So just a quick about me. I'm one of the founders of Mastra. I was previously at Gatsby and Netlify with Abhi and Sam, the other two founders as well. I built a product called AudioFeed. I've spent a lot of time in open source in my career. I did a lot with the Drupal community, not to date myself, but 15 years ago is when I started there. And yeah, make sure to follow me on Twitter or connect on LinkedIn. But let's talk a little bit about what Mastra is. So Mastra is open source AI agent framework for TypeScript. It comes with agents with tool calling, memory, tracing, voice capabilities. We have a workflow system for doing human in the loop, suspend and resume workflows with a really simple API. So you can have more agents that are less deterministic, and maybe have some things that are built into workflows, which is a little bit more deterministic way to build agent systems. We have evals, we have storage for RAG pipelines, and we have kind of bundle it all into a local development playground so you can test things as you go. So let's talk a little bit about MASTRA.BUILD. So the dates are the 12th to the 16th, so it's going to be all week, which means it's completely virtual, so you can kind of work on things as you go. Again, the Discord is your friend. If you have questions along the way, we will be sharing. We'll be doing more live streams. We'll be sharing more information throughout the week. And if you are working on something and you want to, come talk to us about it and share either progress along the way, we're happy to do that too. So please reach out to me and let me know. But let's talk a little bit about the schedule. So right now we're in the opening session. So thanks everyone for tuning in, whether you're in this Zoom call or whether you're watching on one of our live streams. And the next 4 days, the 12th through the 16th, I guess that's 5 days, we'll be building and we'll be hacking on doing something interesting with AI agents. And then at 8 a.m. on the 16th, 8 a.m. Pacific time, that's the deadline for submissions. And so in the Mastra Build Discord channel, we'll share what the form is. It's just a simple form you need to submit at the end of the week. And we'll be using that as kind of the grounds for how we're going to judge who the prizes get divvied out to. And then at 10 a.m. Pacific, so after we have a couple hours to review submissions, we will have an award ceremony, which will be very similar to this. We do have office hours, which will be very dedicated time. You can kind of think of, there's going to be office hours going on throughout the week, but we're going to have dedicated time at 10 a.m. Pacific on Discord, where we will make sure that many people from the team will be available answering questions. We'll probably be doing some live streaming around that time just to make sure that if you do have questions along the way, you can either ask us in private and we'll help you, or you can jump on the live stream. We can help you publicly, however you feel comfortable with, just to make sure that we are able to get you unblocked, help you build really cool things throughout this week. Our goal is to really, if we can help you build something cool, we want to do that. And so we'll be spending a lot of time and resources to try to help you however we can. So let's talk a little bit about judging categories. So we have 3 categories, and we'll have prizes, first, second, and third place in each category. And we're kind of deliberate in that they're very general. And so you can kind of think that whatever you want to build can probably fit into one of these categories. So B2B SaaS could be something. And if you're looking for an idea, I could use a really good email client or email helper tools to help manage my inbox. That might be like a B2B SaaS or some kind of sales tool, some kind of, software as a service tool that helps with general productivity. It would kind of fall into that category. We have more creative things, art, gaming, music. I've been kind of playing around with this idea of like a storybook generator or something like that. That would be more on the creative side. And then we have, other category. If it doesn't fall into one of those other 2, it probably falls into that. Maybe a coding agent would fall into the other category, and I think we'll probably get a few submissions that are building coding agent tools. But there's many other things that could fall into that category. And then out of that category, one of the first place winners will also kind of be labeled the overall winner and get an extra $256 gift card. So let's talk about prizes. First place gets a $512 gift card for each category. Second place, $256. Third place, $128. And then we will have some Smithery credits there, and one overall winner will get that bonus gift card and some bonus credits. And every winner gets a Master t-shirt. Everyone that submits, we're also going to be trying to send out books to. So you get a Principles of Building AI Agents book written by Sam, one of the co-founders of Mastra. And so assuming we can get it to you, which is the caveat that I think we can, but we will ship it to you. So let's meet the judges. So I will do the quick introduction here, but feel free. We'll have some time for some of these if they are around, some of the sponsors to talk here in a bit. Just if they have any specific things they'd be looking for, they can kind of jump in. But we have Tony from the Mastra team. He's one of our founding engineers at Mastra. He's going to be very active in Discord as well, helping out and answering questions. But he'll also be, I don't know if he's going to be a harsh judge, but I know Tony pretty well. I feel like he's going to be a harsh judge, but he'll be one of our judges. We have Henry from Smithery.
Or a harsh judge.
We have Steve from MCP Run. And there's a few people from Mongo, but the judge is going to be Prakul from MongoDB. He's AM and ML product at Mongo. And we had Jesse on the live stream earlier. Jesse's going to be in the helping out as well in our Discord quite a bit. He's also from the Mongo team. And then we have Saurav, who is one of our fellow batchmates from when we were in YC. He's the CEO at Fuse AI. I don't know if he's in this meeting or not. Hopefully he is, but he will be also the fifth and final judge for this hackathon this week. So let's take a look at what judges are looking for. They're looking for this kind of the overall appeal, like how useful or interesting is this? So it doesn't have to be just practically useful. Sometimes some of the best hackathons are just an interesting idea that maybe you would never even actually make real or publish, but it kind of inspires creativity or inspires people to think what could be possible. So overall appeal, creativity, kind of like basic like AI engineering principles, like how is it used, how AI native is it, the overall project architecture, somehow using Mastra in it in some way. Completeness is a factor, but don't assume that just because you didn't finish it, you shouldn't submit it, because ultimately there's only so much time in a week, right? And good things can take a lot of time. So if you have a really interesting idea and you have a really good prototype, but it's not really production ready, that's okay. This is a hackathon. You should submit what you have, and we will, you might be surprised that sometimes the best ideas, you maybe didn't have time to finish them, but we can see the promise in that. And some other things that were some quotes. Looking for something that doesn't crash, hallucinate, or try to overthrow humanity. Yeah, that seems fair. If it does the laundry, that's good. And I'll be evaluating project based on technical execution, originality, and whether they made me briefly question my job security. Also fair. So there's a link here. We will share these slides out so you can actually get to this link. We'll share the form in our Discord as well. But make sure you submit by 8 a.m. Pacific on Friday, May 16th, in order to be considered. So roughly what you need is a link to the repo, some kind of demo page and information, and a 1-minute submission video. If you are working in a team, everyone on the team should submit, even if it's the same video, just so we know that we have the entry for everyone on the team. And Shrita, thanks for dropping the link in the chat. And that way we'll make sure that everyone, if you do have a team, is kind of considered as part of the prize. And what's a demo page? It's essentially ideally it's a live site. If you have a URL, some kind of working demo, it could be, password protected if you want it, or somehow, some way that we can use it. So if all else fails, it could be the README that tells me how to use it, or tells the judges how they actually would use it. But a live site is easier because it's a little easier to judge. If there's a bunch of setup, it's going to be harder and to judge, and that might factor into some of the judging criteria. So we do have a raffle prize pool. This is all you need to do is submit some submission, and you're part of the raffle. This could be a Raspberry Pi, or the AI engineering book, or a mechanical keyboard, or the mute buttons. So you have physical mute buttons for your virtual calls. And then, as I kind of mentioned before, everyone gets Principles of Building AI Agents. We'll send you a copy of the book if you submit. So I do want to say and take some time to say thank you to our sponsors. I don't know if any of our sponsors are here and do want to say anything. I know I see Steve, you're here, so maybe I'll call it over to you first. But if Mongo or Smithery are here, they can also jump in when you're done.
Sure. Well, hello, everybody. MASTRA.BUILD Hackathon. Excited to see projects and hear about what you're working on. I'm Steve. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MCP Run. We're a very early kind of MCP platform, but we've been working on secure isolation technology and have built our own kind of virtualization technology to run code securely in our cloud or elsewhere. And we have spun up support for building and running MCP tools in your AI agents. And you can do this all for free because we can run your code extremely cheaply in WebAssembly. It's more of an implementation detail than anything, but you can always rely on us as a free place to run your tools for your agents and supply them with capabilities like sending emails or searching the web or writing to Excel spreadsheets, anything you'd like to do. We have great support for. And we also have a tasks product, which is kind of like think about it like a simple agent. If you just want to give all control flow to an LLM and you don't need to handle the complexities of most software, you can actually call a task as like a subroutine from your AI agent. And would love to see projects that use MCP.run tasks, which let you just write a prompt and attach MCP servers and run that next to your agent or as like a subroutine from your agent. So we'll be hanging out in the Discord. And would love to help anybody get started giving advanced tools to their AI agents using Mastra.
Thanks, Steve. And I know Jesse was on the live stream talking about Mongo earlier, but I think Shrita shared the link. You can get a free Atlas account, shared link to Mongo University. So if you need a vector DB, Mongo's a great choice, specifically for this hackathon or beyond, right? And Smithery, I don't think Henry's here either, but Henry will be around throughout this week in the Discord as well. He's the CEO at Smithery, and MCP is a big deal, right? We've probably all been hearing a lot about it, and Smithery can also help provide some of those same types of tools that you might need if you're trying to give tools to your agents. So check out Smithery as well. And with that, let's take some time to open it up for Q&A. So we'll spend a few minutes talking. We'll answer any questions that you may have. And then from there, I will spend kind of the last maybe 10 or 15 minutes if anyone wants to stick around and see a very simple agent, how it works with Mastra. If you are new to Mastra, I will go through that. But you could definitely drop off after the Q&A if you already know, if you're already familiar with Mastra. All right, and let's see, any questions? So we had a question on what's the raffle prize. I think Shrita, maybe you answered it, but anyone that submits is in the drawing for a raffle, meaning that at the end of the week, if you do put in a submission, we'll draw for prizes and you might win something, even if you don't necessarily have, the judges don't think you had the best submission, you don't win a cash prize or a gift card prize, you could still win some of these other prizes that we have. So Frank, does Mastra handle authorization for remote MCP servers? We have some tools that you can you can kind of set up some of that authorization, but I'll be honest, we're still improving that. And we're so happy to help you through how you'd actually wire that up if you do have questions, because I think the community would like more examples of ways to do this. And so definitely reach out in Discord, Frank, and we can help you if you do have questions on that.
Can I answer something too, Shane?
Yeah.
If you would like to, MCP.run also handles all the authorization as like a install point for your MCP servers. So you can add authorization, whether it be configuration, API keys, tokens, or OAuth in our platform and connect to a remote server. So Frank, if you'd like to reach out and I can help you get something set up working with remote servers on MCP.run.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good call, Steve. And another question, or I guess comment from Daniel from Mastra, might be worth mentioning the stable releases on Tuesdays. So if you start the project today, you might want to upgrade tomorrow, because every Tuesday we release some new things. So if you do want to see or take advantage of any of the new things, you can definitely update. There's a question on when will vNext become default. I guess, is that happening this week, Daniel? Is vNext default this week? I don't know if that's this week or next week.
May 20th.
Someone maybe can drop it in the chat. Question from Brandon. Each team member needs to submit the same information. Yeah, that way you're entered into the raffle. Every team member gets added to the potential raffle prizes, and we have contact information for each person if we did have questions or need to reach out. So it can be the same information. You can just copy and paste it between the team, but that way we know you up your chances of the raffle prizes, and also, we have contact information for everybody. So do you need to make the GitHub repository public? I would say best if you can. If you can't, or you really don't want to for some reason, please, reach out, let us know. We might be able to make some exceptions, but ultimately, yeah, the goal is we want to be able to kind of show off these things. So if you aren't comfortable with that, just reach out and we can kind of talk through it. But ideally, it'd be public if possible. Would have liked. That's a good call out. Maybe next hackathon we can do it over a weekend. So more of an office hours question. Windsurf was added sanitizing responses on the user input and agent output from the agent generate calls before returning the outputs schema. Is that something us devs have to manage, or is the framework doing this? That is probably an office hours question, but yeah, I think we can go down a rabbit hole and answer that one. So let's drop that. If you could just drop that exact question in Discord, we can go into a little more depth on what you're seeing, Justin. So another question, does it have to be a brand new project, or can it be an existing project? It can be. So this is always one of the most challenging things about a virtual hackathon, right? Is there's no way for us to know if you started it this week or if you had been playing around with an idea before, and so ultimately, if you do start from something you've been previously working on, just note that in the submission so we can see what you worked on, what you added to it, if it's a new feature, if it's something like that, and that'll be kind of part of the judging criteria. And looks like Frank is asking if you can send a link to the mcp.run authorization info. And yes, you can submit as a solo individual. I think most people probably will. There'll be some teams, but I think the most likely, most submissions will probably just be an individual person. Let's see. What else do we got? Are there any rules or restrictions, such as those based on location, age, or other criteria? For the most part, no. Anyone can submit. There's no location. You don't have to be in a specific location. The only caveat is, for me being able to send you a book, some locations might be challenging, so we might not be able to send a book to everyone. We will try, but for the most part, there's no restrictions. Anyone can submit, and anyone has the chance to win. And I think that's all the questions. So any other questions before we do a quick little demo on building an AI agent? All right, and before we kick that off, just give me a second to get a few things pulled up here. And I'll show a real quick demo of Mastra. For those of you who are ready to build, go ahead and you can jump off now if you already know what you're doing. So where can you see a recording of this? Yes, it's if you want to go to our YouTube channel, all of our live streams, this is getting live streamed as well. You'll be able to see it. Actually, it's, you could probably jump over and see it now and catch what I just said because there's a little bit of a delay. But you could go over and see it on YouTube and it'll be there afterwards. So this recording will be there. There's questions on what the prizes are. You can find that if you watch that recording, and we'll share the slides as well that have a list of the prizes. And could you share the Discord invite link? Yes, Shrita, if you can grab that and send a link to our Discord so anyone can join the MASTRA.BUILD channel in Discord. And with that, let's actually build something. And I don't know if we're not going to build too much, but I just want to show you the getting started with Mastra. And that way you can, if you are looking for where to get started, what to do, at minimum, this will get you some part of the way there. And then it'll be up to you to, I guess, take it a little further. So I'll share my screen and we will just talk through building an agent or how agents in Mastra work. And for those of you that are jumping off now, good luck this week. Have fun. Let us know how we can help, and looking forward to seeing all the great submissions along the way. All right. So the first thing I like to do is let's go ahead and just start here. Let's just copy that, and maybe I'll make this a touch bigger. Take it up a few clicks. And I'm just going to run the command from the Mastra website. Again, the goal is I just want to show you how, if you have never built a Mastra agent, this is the getting started experience. So let's run this. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it May 12th since that's the date. And if you haven't used Mastra before, I would just recommend kind of turning on all the defaults, and it gives you a good example of how an agent with Mastra works, how you can have some basic tools, and then from there you can certainly start to build on top of that. And I'd recommend, when you need to start pulling tools off the shelf, that's where, like, look at MCP Run, look at Smithery. That's a great way for you to add more features to your agent quickly because you don't have to necessarily build all the tools yourself. But we'll show, if you did want to, how you can actually build a tool and how tools work. So I'm going to select the defaults. We'll just keep the source folder. I will enable agents and workflows, and I will add tools. I can go ahead and just select OpenAI as the default provider, but you can pick whichever model provider you want. I will just copy in my key. So I'm going to, oh, I didn't want to skip that. I'll copy in my key later. I'll add an example just so we can look at it. And if you are using Cursor or Windsurf, it can be useful to enable the Mastra Docs MCP server. What this is essentially it allows your either Cursor agent or Cascade in Windsurf to access the Mastra Docs directly. So you can ask a question about Mastra. It can look up information in the docs without you having to point it at the docs website or at the specific page. So basically lets you lets your code agent have a little more information about how to build agents or workflows in Mastra. So I will just go ahead and we can use Cursor, why not? And I'll pull that up. So I'm going to go into this project here, and I will copy in my environment file, my API key, just so I have it. And the first thing I like to do is just run npm run dev so you can see the local development playground. And you can see I can see the API, the Swagger UI, because at the end of the day, your Mastra agents and workflows are all also REST API endpoints, so you can access them from any front end. This example just has a weather agent. So let's go ahead and click on that. And I can ask it a question like, what is the weather in Sioux Falls, which is where I'm at? And you can see it calls a tool, which if you look over here, it says this agent has a get weather tool. I can look at the response of that tool and see this was the data that was returned to the agent, and the agent processed that response and then created this result. I can go and I can see the trace of what happened. So I can see everything that happened with that single response or that request and that response cycle. So I can see that there's a tool call here. It called the weather tool. I can see if I look at the actual stream, I can see the messages that were sent and then the response that came back. So you can essentially kind of get visibility into what's happening. So it's really easy to see your agent, interact with your agent in this playground. But then at the end of the day, this is all, you control the code. So if we look at it, we can pull this up in Cursor or Windsurf or any other editor. Let me just make this a little bigger. And you'll see that it says I have this MCP server detected because I turned that option on in the CLI when I was setting it up. I'll just enable that. Now my agent will be able to look up information about Mastra if I have questions or I want it to actually write some code for me. Everything's in this source Mastra folder. So we have agents, we have tools, we have workflows. If we look at our agent, we can see that we have this weather agent. It's using GPT 4.0. So it's built on top of AI SDK's models. So that way it's really easy to route between different models. You can easily swap out for Anthropic or Gemini or another model within OpenAI. You can see that we pass in a weather tool. We'll look at what that code actually is here in a second. We do give this agent memory, which allows it in the sidebar. You could see it had like conversational history. So there's some settings you can change. You can look at the docs and see what memory options you can configure. And if we want to actually look at this weather tool, we can go into tools and you can see we create the tool here with just the create tool from Mastra. And all a tool is it's kind of like a pure function. It has an input schema, has an output schema, and then it has like an execute function, which actually runs the code. So we send in a location, which is just the name of the city. It outputs this specific response. And all it does is calls weather with this location or get weather with this location. And this is just making a few fetch calls. Goes out to a geocoding API, and then it gets the forecast for that location and then returns the data. So ultimately, the way this works is your agent is deciding it needs to call a tool. It basically instructs you to call the tool. So then the agent or the code actually runs your get weather function, and then it passes it back to the agent to then process that result. So there's actually a couple things that are happening when your agent or the LLM is invoking the tool, because the LLM itself is not actually running the tool. It's just informing you that the system needs to run your code. This is where I would highly recommend you take a look at the MCP docs we have on Mastra in our agents and tool section. It's the easiest way to add more features to your agent to kind of pass tools in. I will also say, depending on how much you've spent building agents before, you're going to spend a lot of time on this system prompt. You should probably be very specific on when to call certain tools. And make sure if you do create any tools of your own, that you're very intentional with what you do with this description. You'd probably want to add more information than this, to be honest. Descriptions are very important for getting your agents to call tools reliably. And different models have different levels of quality with tool calling. Another thing to just keep in mind. The last thing I will show is, we do have workflows as well, which if you do have something that's a little bit more deterministic, or you can kind of break it into multiple steps, you could use a workflow. And a workflow could be a combination of, there could be agents within your workflow, or you could actually pass in a workflow as a tool to an agent. So they're kind of like Lego blocks. You can piece these things together. So in this case, we just have a workflow that fetches the weather and then plans activities. So it just breaks out kind of that tool call into multiple steps. first it's just going to call that weather API directly. Then it's going to pass it to an agent, pass that weather into an agent that will then plan activities based on the weather. So it's very hot in Sioux Falls today. So this is going to execute. It's going to take a little while. So it fetched the weather. It's planning activities. It's probably streaming out, as you can see in my CLI. It's saying do a picnic at Sertoma Park because it's pretty warm out today. It's going to be, get to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty warm. But, planned outdoor activities. And you can see it just kind of plans out the week. So if we look at how that code actually works, the simplest thing I like to do when looking at workflows is start at the bottom, just because that's where typically the definition is. And you can see this workflow first runs the fetch weather, then it runs this plan activities. And plan activities is just a call to an agent. So if I find plan activities, it's going to just call agent.stream with a prompt. So it's just calling an agent that we created. And last but not least, if you can, once you're ready to deploy this thing, if you want, you can deploy it to Vercel or Netlify or Cloudflare. You can also deploy it, if you would like to, just go to cloud.mastra.ai. We have essentially an agent runtime that you can deploy to. It's in beta, but you can actually deploy to it. So feel free to go there, deploy your projects if you would like, but you can deploy it anywhere. It doesn't really matter.
Shane, we actually had a great question from Brandon, exactly about deployment. He was wondering, for the hackathon projects, what should people use? Like, should they use Vercel? Should we give everyone who's doing hackathon access to Master Cloud? Wondering what you think.
Yeah, you can go to cloud.master.ai. We're in beta, but you can get to it. You can deploy to it. You don't have to though. Ultimately you have you can deploy to wherever you best think it should be deployed to. Ideally, you'd be able to get it deployed by the end of this week if you want to give us a live URL. If for some reason it only works in a local environment and you can't get it deployed, as long as the GitHub is public and you have README instructions, that can still work. But again, it's just the easier you make it for the judges, the more likely you're going to have a chance to win prizes. So if you make judging easier and they can spend more time just looking at your idea and less time thinking about how do I actually see this thing, that would be better. We will, of course, look at your video as well as, just the submission. But ideally, we'd have a URL that the judge can just click on and play around with it and see it actually deployed live. But that's a great question, Brendan. And with that, we are almost at time. Any other last questions before we wrap this thing up? So the answer, do you have to participate solo? No, you can definitely join teams. And the only caveat is if you are on a team, make sure that every team member submits the form and you can be the same content, same video, but that way we make sure that we know that you are on a team together. So you can certainly participate in teams if you want to. I think there'll probably be most people will be doing it solo, but we do have some people that are for sure doing it on teams as well. What's in the roadmap for Mastra? What can we expect? That is a question that I don't have time to answer now, but I will happily, if you check out our live streams, we're pretty open with what our roadmap is. Agent networks, MCP servers, those are a few things we're thinking about. We spend a lot of time thinking through really how do we make it as easy as possible to build, whether you're building a workflow that's pretty deterministic or something that's much more probabilistic, like a complete network of agents. And so thinking about agents plus tools is really where a lot of our focus is going to be in the near future. But we're also trying to improve memory, always improving memory, making memory implementations easier for our users. So we have a lot of that on the roadmap as well, a whole bunch of things. And I'm sure you can integrate Mastra with LangGraph. It'd be cool to see something like that. So if you wanted to give it a try, that would be pretty interesting. Tips for keeping sensitive user data secure within agents and workflows. That's bring that question, Moyen, to Discord. We will help you out, but that's a pretty loaded question. There's a lot of things you can do there. Security is not any different than it was before. Not drastically different than it was before, but there are some things that you have to think about when you allow an agent to execute tools on behalf of users. And so reach out on Discord. We'll try to help you out. All right. And so I think there's a lot more. We're getting into like some more detailed questions. Let's bring those to Discord. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate everyone for joining this kickoff. I'm excited to see what you all build. Excited to chat with you on Discord. And if you, here's just a call. If you're building something cool and you want to talk about it while you're building it, reach out on Discord, let me know, and happy to have you. You can share it with the world. Either after it's ready, you can come on a live stream next week, or if you want to come on and give a preview, kind of build a little hype around what you're building, let me know. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Shrita, for setting this up. Thanks to all our sponsors, MongoDB, MCP Run, and Smithery. Let's have a great hackathon, and let's build some cool things. See ya.